Welcome to a brand new episode of Lit Sports Online. I have my boy Ryan on the table with us today. Well, not table, virtual table, I guess you could say. We're going to talk Redskins. This is a first for us. So I've been wanting to do this, kind of to broaden the audience. We have a lot of people that watch our show that are Redskins fans, don't feel like they're properly represented. Well, here's y'all's moment.
Amen.
So how you feeling, buddy? Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. How are you?
I'm good. Social distancing. The new world.
Too much of it.
So we're just going to run through picks first. In round one, the Redskins took Chase Young, defensive end out of Ohio State. In round three, they took Antonio Gibson, a wide receiver. Round four, Sadiq Charles, an offensive lineman. Antonio Gandy-Golden, another wide receiver, was picked in the fourth round. Keith Ismail was picked in the fifth. Kaliki Hudson, a linebacker, was taken in the fifth. Cameron Curl, a safety out of Arkansas, was taken in the seventh. And the final pick for the Redskins, James Smith-Williams, defensive end for North Carolina State, seventh round, pick 229. What a draft.
Yeah, we had several picks in, the fourth and fifth round. I just don't know how much they're going to help us in the short term, which it's kind of what we need. Like the Redskins need help now. They need success now because of the fan base. We've been struggling for a lot of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret, and you've had quite a few conversations over the years. The Redskins franchise as a whole, and it's one thing for your team to be bad, but for the fan base, and not just you. I have a lot of Redskins fans that work in the D.C. area. That's the general conception, it's just we're not a good franchise. Not well run.
Not at all.
Huh?
Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I feel like, the Redskins, at least before I was alive, in the 80s, early 90s, you guys were a pretty dominant team. You guys, the NFC ran the NFL back in those days. But now things have shifted. But that being said, you guys got Ron Rivera. Looks like you guys are trying to make a coaching change. Everybody will tell you can change the coach a million and one times. But if the front office is the same, but you made a few changes to that front office. So, we'll see where it goes. But I want to start with your first pick. And everybody knew it. He's a local boy. It was a no-brainer. There's no way the Redskins are not picking him up. Just because of who he is, Chase Young. What are your thoughts?
As a player, he's phenomenal. He's got everything that you could want in a defensive end. I love him because he's a local boy as well. He played at DeMatha. When I was in high school, we played DeMatha every year. If we were going to stay at the number 2 pick, we picked the right person. The issue that I have with the pick is that he doesn't really help us a whole lot. When you look at our roster before the draft, we had Ryan Kerrigan, who is traditionally should have been a 4-3 defensive end, and he's gotten 90 sacks in 9 years.
Yeah.
You have a first-round talent in Jonathan Allen, who has been averaging 7 sacks a year over the past couple years as a 3-4 defensive end. You put him in a 4-3, he probably increases that production a little bit. Last year, we drafted Montez Sweat in the first round. Again, traditionally a 4-3 defensive end who had 7 sacks as a rookie. So now we're going to have 4 players in this mix, and they all can't be on the field at the same time most of the time. So how much does he really help our team? And that was my issue with it. I was really, really hoping that we would trade down because we have so many needs everywhere. We got Terry McLaurin at receiver who happened to overperform based on what everyone thought he would do. But who's our second and third receiver right now?
Yeah.
Who's our left tackle? Who's our left guard? Our tight ends are terrible. And that's just on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
We need a 4-3 outside linebacker. We need a free safety. We probably need another cornerback. And to take a person with the second overall pick that doesn't help us a whole lot was really tough for me to swallow.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. It didn't make, to me, there's so much wrong with the Redskins, and I don't want to bash your team too much. I do that enough on Facebook.
I'm doing it for you.
That's what we're doing today. But Chase Young, as good as he is, defensive ends are a high-paid position. They eventually get paid, especially one who they're already projecting this guy is going to be the real deal, probably a Hall of Famer one day. I heard it was said on the draft. I was like, geez, all right, let's shoot for the stars, why don't we? But again, eventually Chase Young's going to cost you guys money, a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to fix the team with the little money you're going to have left. So when you were saying that, the Chase Young pick was a head scratcher, I agree with that, because you could have picked a wide. There were tons of wide receivers. You need weapons for Dwayne Haskins if he is potentially your quarterback of the future. You're going to need to build a line around him. Yes, Chase Young is a phenomenal player. He will be one of probably I would imagine an All-Pro this year. But there were other people.
The thing is if we're going to stay at the number 2 spot, I think we have to pick Chase Young. The issue is like we shouldn't have stayed at the number 2 spot. But like I don't know what other teams were offering us. But I mean, like let's just like take an example. What if Miami traded us 5 and 18 for number 2? Right there we could pick up our left tackle and probably a pretty good wide receiver. It's really going to be difficult to see what Haskins is when his line's terrible and he has no weapons.
Yeah, I was going to get into it because it does look like later, the mid-rounds, you kind of tried to. You picked up Antonio Gibson and then Antonio Gandy-Golden. I mean, they're not from big-name schools. I don't know a lot about those guys, but it at least seems like you're trying to get them at least one target out of these two.
I think what they try to do with Antonio Gibson is, he played a lot of wide receiver in college, and we definitely have a need at wide receiver, but it seems to me that all of like the draft pundits were saying that he was going to be a running back. So it sounds like we were trying to get him in like the Chris Thompson role. And where I struggle with this pick is, do you want to spend a 3rd round pick on a 3rd down running back?
Yeah.
I mean, if he can really like make a transition to receiver and do both, that's great. And that's probably a good pick. But is he going to be good enough to be a number 2 receiver? I don't know.
Yeah, and again, we go back to the same issue. Round 3, that's still a good round to pick up a few linemen. Maybe you could have gotten a guard or 2. Who knows? I mean, the Ravens quite did. And I told myself I wasn't going to bring up the Ravens. I tried. I tried. But here we
Y'all's draft was great, though. So, well done.
But, yeah, I mean, the wide receiver pick, I was like, all right, maybe they're trying to get him a target. But it just seems like, and this is just my perspective, just outside looking in, right up the beltway. But it seems like they're ass backwards in a lot of what they do. It's like, all right, we'll get, I forget, there was a defensive lineman years ago you guys had. I can't even think of his name right now. This gave me, paid all this money, and then the rest of the team was still trash. It's like, I don't know. And that's what I think is going on here. It's just, I can't escape that first pick. Yes,
Albert Hainsworth.
Yeah, yes, there it is. Albert Hainsworth. They paid all that money for him, and he really didn't amount to much. And it was just like, what the hell?
Awful.
But, you guys made a move in getting Ron Rivera, who I think is one of the better coaches in the NFL. I think his time in Carolina just came to an end, and he just needed a new start. I personally think, from a coaching point of view, this is good. He's used to a mobile quarterback. I think he can figure out an offense. I mean, he made Cam Newton who Cam Newton is. So, I mean, I think if Haskins is your future, I think he's at least the guy for it, the coach. What do you think?
I really think that the Redskins are trying to they were trying to find stability. Unfortunately, as you mentioned earlier, coaching doesn't really matter a whole lot when the front office is dysfunctional. Which, I mean, the front office for the Redskins has been dysfunctional since I was a child. This is like a prime example. At some point during the year, we were offered a 1st-round draft pick for Trent Williams, and we said no.
Wow.
And then eventually we traded him for a 5th round this year and a 3rd round next year. I mean, when it comes to like finding stable coaches, we had Shanahan. I was pumped about that. Finally, someone that has had success, someone that's stable. Didn't work out. We had Joe Gibbs before him, someone that had success in Washington. we made the playoffs once, but there just wasn't much success. We hired Gruden. I was really fond of that hire because of what he did in Cincinnati. But again, front office dysfunction just led us down a bad path. So, I like Rivera as a coach, but is Dan Snyder going to stop being Washington's biggest fan and biggest detractor?
Yeah. I had a friend actually tell me the Redskins won't be good until Dan Snyder is gone.
Are you sure that friend wasn't me?
Huh? It might have been you, actually. I feel like it might have been you, actually. But, I mean, that just says something. And I don't know if it's just an NFC East thing, because Jerry Jones kind of runs his team similar, where he's just the biggest Cowboys fan ever, just running the team. And he has way too much money. And I feel like, likewise with the Cowboys, I think some of their success has been hindered because of ownership, because of that front office. And it just goes to show you just how important a front office is compared to having the number one draft pick, compared to having a coach with all these wins. It doesn't matter if you're not signing the correct people.
I completely agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do feel for you guys for that. I do feel for y'all, but I don't know. I'm wondering exactly. There's still a lot of offseason, and with the uncertainty of this season, there could be some interesting signings coming forward. But is Dwayne Haskins the future of the Redskins?
That was my biggest issue with this draft is we're not going to get an answer.
Yeah.
We were talking before this started about what the title of this episode should be. And, an idea is uncertainty, because we didn't give him any help. Yeah. I mean, or at least like enough help to make me think, well, we're going to figure out who he is. Yeah. Are we going to put our money in a 3rd and 4th round receiver and tackle? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean
oh, sorry.
Well, and that's the thing. I think this draft really set us back a few years, because we're not going to find out what Dwayne Haskins really is. I just don't think that he has enough help on the line, or, out of the backfield, or, outside at receiver, to really be able to say, like, this guy is who's going to help us win in the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is definitely going to be a long ball road to see what happens. And I mean, there's so much flux in your division, I think, just in general, with Eli retiring, Dak Prescott wanting all this money, Jalen Hurts being drafted. There's so much flux in the NFC East that I have no idea who's going to come out of it. I could not put money and I'm not even going to count you guys out. I'm not going to count the Giants out. There's just no telling.
You're not going to count us out? That's really nice.
I'm not going to count you guys out, actually, because, I mean, the NFC East traditionally just, how do I put this without sounding offensive? It's not the best division. So it's anybody's ball game out there. I don't know. I think Chase Young is going to at least cause some disruption on the defense, possibly. I think that's the only golden spot that I can see from this draft. But y'all got to build around Dwayne Haskins or do something. That's honestly just the simplicity of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Chase Young's going to make our defense better, but I don't think our offense got any better.
Not at all.
And when of course I watched every Redskin game, unfortunately, last year, and the big struggle that we really had was our offense staying on the field. Like, our defense statistically was terrible, but that's because we couldn't sustain drives on offense. Our defense was always on the field. Yeah. And eventually players get tired and they give up points and yards.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this, though. If you ever feel like coming up 95 North, there's a beautiful stadium on the Chesapeake Bay. We have awesome uniforms, purple and black. It's badass. Like, come up here. I got you.
Dude, never a chance.
I respect that. But that does it for our show, though. We're going to have you on more. Okay. We want to make this a regular thing. Hopefully there is a football season. We're all praying for it. But
yes, sir.
We'll have you back on again. Thank you for tuning in, for those watching on YouTube or our Facebook. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got much more coming. Take care.